Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Patch 3.18 is now 2.5 days away, and we got our final updates on the Atlas of Worlds. In fact, we got the entirety of the Atlas passive trees revealed today, and I'll put a link to that down in the description below. I also discussed it at length on a stream, and I'll put a link to that live stream recording, which is also down in the description below. If you're interested in having a deep dive into the Atlas, if you just want to have a more concise look, then have a look at the actual GGG post. Then over the next couple of days, I will try to put together a starter Atlas tree plan. However, we also got a few of the last of the keystones on the passive tree, Valley of Darkness being the first one. Now, this was spoiled with a pun in the name of the spoiler that related to Headhunter. So that may give you a bit of an idea as to what this is good with. Rare monsters in your maps have one additional modifier. Now, were this to have existed in 3.17, this would have been all downside except in the Headhunter situation. That's not the case in 3.18 though, because in 3.18, rare monster mods will contribute XP and also loot bonuses to that rare monster. So a rare monster with 2 Arch-Nemesis modifiers will have a certain level of quantity and rarity and extra XP, but one with 4 will have a bigger amount for each of those stats. That means that if you can kill 5 mod rare monsters without slowing down too much, then maybe they're worth it. And at that point, Valley of Darkness becomes worth your while. Note that this only affects rare monsters found in maps. It does not affect rare monsters that are found in other places, such as in the Delve Mines. The other thing that's really important with this, of course, it's got great synergy with Headhunter, as you would expect, because it means that you will firstly ramp up to a large number of Arch-Nemesis modifiers quickly, and you will be able to sustain a larger number of them. And you'll be able to sustain the more common ones most of the time, whilst you will lose and then potentially occasionally regain some of the rarer ones. The second new keystone that was introduced was Cosmic Wounds, and this is basically what you expect it to be. So this is the Uber Shaper and the upgraded Uber Elder. I'm going to call upgraded Uber Elder Uber Duber Elder because it's such a silly name that it just has to be used. But this unlocks both the Uber Shaper and the Uber Duber Elder encounter, and it also causes both of those fights to have a double chance to drop an Orb of Dominance. Remember, the Orb of Dominance is what we used to term a Maven's Orb, and they now drop from the Shaper, the Elder, Cyrus. Lastly, there is a quality of life upgrade that is significant. This is that Breach Lords that are encountered outside of a breach will show up on the minimap, and they show up in a big, stylish, sick way. So you can see in the top corner here, as we just move that over to showcase it, that there is this massive, massive, massive grasping hand icon for this Breach Lord here. So that's going to help make it a lot easier to spot any of the Breach Lord encounters that might be found in your maps. This is particularly important because there are a number of challenges linked to that. But of course, the biggest piece of news was the entirety of the Atlas passive tree. Once more, I did discuss this at length on a stream, and I will put a link to that down in the description below if you want to go through that. Otherwise, over the next couple of days, what I want to do is try to put together 2 or 3 potential Atlas passive trees that people might consider starting with. So that'll be something that you can go for if you like a particular type of content. So for instance, if you like having abysses, then there'll be a focus on Abyss that might pick up a couple of other league mechanics that synergize with Abyss or that play moderately similar. So in my opinion, at least, Blight, Expedition, and Abyss all play moderately similar because they all put additional encounters on your map that are at moderate but not extreme time pressure. So that's something that you might decide to put together there. Or for instance, you might decide to go with Bestiary, and then given that you're speccing into Bestiary, you're probably doing a lot of quick mapping in order to finish maps and replenish your master missions. And at that point, some of the other masters become appealing to spec into because you won't always have an Einharm mission, but other times you'll have other ones. So I'll give that some thought over the next 12 hours or so, and then try to put up some Atlas passive tree ideas that you might consider. Especially important, you're going to want to focus on challenges with your Atlas passive tree. There's a number of challenges that don't quite require a specific tree setup, but almost do. And there are a couple that absolutely require speccing your tree in certain ways. So for instance, one of the challenges requires you to defeat a Breach Lord in a map while you are under the effect of a Covetous Shrine. And the only way that you can do that is by speccing into Covetous Shrines on your passive tree. You're probably also going to want to spec into Breach as well, so that you are more likely to get these 2 things occurring together. Think of it as a case of 2 individual interactions need to happen there. Neither of them is particularly rare. Getting both of them together is pretty rare, except when you rig the odds in your favor by speccing deep into both of these trees. Then at that point, actually getting both of them together should be pretty common. That's all I got on this. May your Varlobs have interesting results, and make sure that you have a good look through all the stuff on the Atlas passive tree, because there is a lot to discuss there. Hopefully you'll have as much fun reading through it as I did when I was going through all of it on my stream earlier today. May your Varlobs have interesting results.